I used to be a businessman and a contractor. And every time I tried to supply things to some companies, I always found my prices much higher than other people's prices. Yet I used to dig in deep to get good prices. And I started investigating to understand why. And one thing I found out was that most of other suppliers actually cut their prices almost in half. Make the supply, get paid, and they go behind to the store. And the people in the store give them those things back, and they share the money. So there was no way I could beat their price. Severally, supplying of AGO found out that they supply half the quantity they quote, and the people in the store help them to recalibrate the equipment, and it looked like they supplied a complete tank. At some point, I had to give up that business because of my calling. I didn't want to engage in that kind of thing. That is the way the business environment is in Nigeria as it stands today. This is the governor's desk. Welcome. Today we want to talk on the apostle in the marketplace. When we hear apostle in the marketplace, like I always say, we're not about to ask you for tithes and offering. We're still talking about the society at large, but how people can represent what they stand for in the marketplace, because there's so much corruption, there's so much struggle. A lot of Christians are struggling today because the environment they find themselves in, even other religions, people that want to be good, people that want to walk in righteousness, they are struggling. But more people, and that's part of the reason why the country is in the state that it's in. So we want to talk about the marketplace, the things that go on there, and how you can be a better person and how you will be able to stand. Today, with me, is my very good friend, Reverend John C. Enelama. Reverend, but not restricted to the pulpit. He is the president and founder of Kingdom Apostolic Revival Ministries. He's also the co-founder of Apostles in the Marketplace. He's a widely traveled apostolic leader. He's a social reformer and author of several books, the latest of which is Blueprint for Nigeria, Understanding and Fulfilling Our Prophetic Destiny. He's also a co-host with his wife, Ngozi, of Marriage Walks and Love Walks Sessions. They broadcast on Facebook and other social media platforms. He's a graduate of quantity surveying from Obafemi Awolowo University. Obafemi Awolowo University. So, like I said, I emphasize on that so that you know that apart from reading the Bible, he has read many other books. Reverend, you're welcome. You're welcome. Without much ado, apostle in the marketplace. Who is an apostle? Because some people just think apostle is just that man like Paul who is going from church to church or standing on the pulpit preaching. But who is an apostle? Really?
Thank you very much.
Yes.
I believe that the Bible is one of the books, or the main book that makes the word apostle very popular, because it's a word that is used a lot in the New Testament. Jesus ordained 12 in Luke chapter 6 verse 12, and he called them apostles. And we know that Paul was a great apostle and apostolic leader. But something about the word apostle to remember is that the word apostle is a transliterated word, not translated. It's picked up from one language without changing a lot in form and shape into another language. So in the Greek, it's apostolos. In English, it's apostle. So they look similar because it's transliterated, not translated, right? Now, it means that it was a word in use before the advent of Jesus Christ. So the question is that how did the Romans use the word apostle? How did the Greek use the word apostle? The word apostle was used for a Roman soldier, an admiral that was sent to conquer a new territory. But he was not called an apostle unless and until he imposed the Roman culture on the new territory, and the new territory accepted Roman culture as their culture. Same was Greek. In other words, an apostle was a general that conquered territories and changed the culture of the territory from its present culture to the culture of the sending army. So an apostle was a champion, a soldier, somebody that enforced culture on a given people. When Jesus used the word apostle, he was talking about people that will make the Christian culture the prevalent culture in any society. Christian culture, what do you mean? Righteousness, truth, excellence, and so on and so forth. So when you say who is an apostle is a champion of righteousness. An apostle is a champion of a cause. An apostle is a change agent in society, somebody that does not live a circumstance or a situation the way they find it. An apostle is somebody that believes in a cause, fights for a cause, and lives for that cause. In the Christian faith, apostles are the leading ministers in God's kingdom. They are the people that deal with doctrine. They will deal with order in the service. They're not just evangelists and pastors, who are great, by the way. Apostles are the ones that are concerned that the Christian doctrine is intact. And in society, they're the ones that are champions of change in society.
Champions of change. That means you can be an apostle of righteousness, winning by righteousness. Or you can be an apostle of darkness and of evil. But we're talking about the apostles for winning by righteousness. The Christian. So now, this apostle now, in the marketplace. So this, you're no longer talking about the apostle on the pulpit. Because when we understand the apostle on the pulpit, we understand the apostle that will be sent by the Roman army to go and establish the Roman government. So the apostle on the pulpit is the one to establish order on the pulpit in the church. But the one that is now in the marketplace, who is he?
An apostle in the marketplace is somebody that brings order in the marketplace. Is a champion of order, of righteousness. By the way, righteousness is not a religious terminology. Righteousness means doing the right thing in the right way at the right time. Traffic, one way, you do one way. Two way, you do two way. Traffic light is red, you stop. You don't travel faster to cross. It's green, you keep on going. That's righteousness, and that's a champion. An apostle in the marketplace is somebody that is willing to go to the arena of government, because the marketplace consists of lands, territories, and spheres. There is government, there is economy, there is education, there is entertainment. There are all aspects. There's family, there's society, the rest of society. So an apostle in the marketplace is somebody that whatever sphere where God has called them, they are champions in that sphere. They impose the right culture in that sphere. They bring order, they bring change, they make things happen, they bring correction, they stand for what is right, they make things work because they are apostles in the marketplace.
So what that means is that though it's very important that you are born again, but it means that an apostle in the marketplace must not necessarily be a Christian.
Lee Kuan Yew was not a Christian. He was an apostle in the marketplace. He accepted the responsibility for the birth of a new nation. He worked with a team of people. But the thing is that if you read his biography, his wife said he had sleepless nights over Singapore's problem. He said, how can these 2-3 million people feed? How will they not starve? He didn't sleep. He accepted. He said in himself, in one of the interviews he granted in lifetime, he said, if people talk about the father, he said, I'm high-handed. He said, what do you have? He said, you have a transformed Singapore. He said, what did it cost me? He said, it cost me my whole life. He gave up his life in order for the nation to transform. He was an apostle in the marketplace.
So, an apostle in the marketplace, like I said again, it's good for you to be born again. It's important for you to be born again. But it is not restricted to Christians. So if you're listening to us now, don't just tune up and say, oh, he's talking to Christians. No. He's talking to every Nigerian. He's talking to every African. He's talking to everybody in the world that we must stand up now and stand for righteousness, right things to be done, appropriate things to be done. Not bending rules, cutting corners, and stuff like that. No. Represented appropriately. So no matter who you are, the alternative for you is being a rogue in the marketplace. Being a rogue in the marketplace. A lot of people think that rogues are the people that make it. Reverend, a lot of things, because the marketplace is treacherous, like the example I gave when I was talking about my own experience. It's a treacherous place. So how really can you advise people now? How should they? Because I always tell people, principles of righteousness exist. If you put them to work, you will get good results. If you are in the middle, God said, I will spew you out of my mouth. So you are neither an apostle of righteousness or a total rogue. You will be there, you won't get much. But if you stand, so what do you say to someone who has that conflict about the marketplace?
I think that one thing we have to settle is that there are principles that govern life on earth. So one of those principles is when you think about what it means to be a change agent or a catalyst. A catalyst from integrated science is a substance that initiates a chemical reaction but is not continuing the process. An apostle has to act like a catalyst. In other words, in a given society, the shock forces can come against you. When it's all over, you still be standing straight because you don't give in. Instead, you cause change without being changed negatively in the process. The thing about the marketplace is that the marketplace will test you irrespective of your faith. They will challenge you, they'll test you, but if you stand, you'll gain a reputation. Eventually, the marketplace will respect you. You have your own standard. You have your own standard. They'll say, whatever you're doing, don't go near this governor because it's not going to play again. So, but if you're like a chameleon, you're good today, bad tomorrow, yeah, they'll just sweep you away. So, the principle to have therefore in mind is that you have to decide what are the things that are truly important to you when it's all over. Why do you do what you do? What do you want to achieve at the end of the day? What are your values? What legacy you want to leave behind? If you choose to live for the right values, it may be tough, but when it's all over, you still stand. You have to remember that people will respect you for who you are. If you take your stand, they will respect you. And the final thing I would say is that change is brought by men. Decide whether you want to be changed or to be the change agent yourself. If you choose to be the change agent, equip yourself. Make sure that whatever your field of human endeavor, you are among the best. Be thoroughly educated. Be the one that goes to seminar, go to class. Formal education is great, but the greatest men on earth were educated informally. They read by themselves. They attend lectures. They go to conferences. They study. They observe life. School is good. It points you in the right direction, but it's not enough. Because when you go to school, they teach you to read. Life itself makes you to read, to learn. That's what makes you succeed. So the point I'm making is that an apostle will decide that they will make the difference in their lifetime. They're going to make change happen. Not without a pride. You will make some losses, like Murphy said. Yes, if you decided to continue, you will lose some of those contracts, but only one contract will be enough. One day somebody will give him a contract, and he will do it so well that he will stamp his name permanently for excellence. And then you find that you may not get all the contracts. I have a friend who's an apostle in the marketplace. For many, many years, he had only one client. But with that client, he had a lot of turnover. Just one client that believed in his skill. And that client gave me a lot. And eventually that trained him. He became an industrial architect because with that one client, he had an industrial architect that worked with them who trained him. And today he has multiple jobs, but he has never had the need to compromise. I mean, the temptation is there, but he's known for the quality of the work he does because he has established himself as an apostle of righteousness. The market will respect you if you know your onions, if you're righteous, you pursue excellence. When you do work, you do it well. It may take time. Just know that everybody will not be your client. You don't need everybody. You just need a few clients who believe in who you are. So how do you succeed? Stand your ground. Know your values. In all I know you as a man, know thyself. Don't be the kind of person that don't be in a hurry. Don't let people's success, seemingly success, let it not be a big deal. Just be yourself. Your time will come. Do what is right because remember that honesty is still the best insurance in this life. Thank you.
You see, when we talk about success, I would like to add this that understand that success does not necessarily mean too much money in your account.
It's relative. Very,
Very
very
relative.
Very, very.
My father, Honorable V.C. Kotwe, was a politician and an administrator. And by the time it was over, when their season was over, the Second Republic and the rest, one thing happened. Almost all his friends. He wasn't a billionaire, but he wasn't exactly in penury. But he stood for his principles. At the end of it all, almost all his friends tasted jail.
But did it come in?
And today, no matter where I go, when I mention my name, I've not met one person that has something terrible or bad to say. Oh, your father did this or your father did that. He stood for his principles. Yes, there were times the storms were against him, but he stood his ground. And today, we are the better for it. It's not always about money. You have the same story. Your father was a reverend gentleman, sure. And students, and today, all the children are flourishing without compromise. So what the message I'm bringing for you today is that you can win by righteousness. You can win by righteousness, no matter where you find yourself, whether in politics, in business, whether you're a mechanic. Don't cheat your client, because eventually your righteousness will speak for you. I remember I said, whether you're a Muslim or an atheist or whatever you call yourself, you can still be an apostle of righteousness in the market field. So don't come and say, oh, it's just only for Christians. So until we come your way again, listen, if you have your questions, send it in. We'll pass it on to Reverend John and he will respond to it and we'll get back to you. But we'll give preference to questions and inquiries from people who are subscribed to our channel. Go subscribe to our channel. Go subscribe to our channel, Zerugen TV on YouTube. Zerugen TV. Just subscribe and press the bell. Press the bell. Listen, we're bringing very, on the governor's desk, we're bringing very, very serious discussions, but from a very, very much lighter mood that will make it easy for you to comprehend, using the terms that you understand very easily. Reverend, thank you very much. Thank you for coming to share some time with us out of your busy schedule. We know that God will continue to increase the work of your hands. Thank you very much for being with us. So until we come your way again, remember, go and subscribe. God bless you, and God bless Nigeria. Thank you.